Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this cute teddy. They are always a popular theme for children and adults, so I hope you enjoy it. So I've got a light brown sugar paste here. I've already added some CMC to it so it's nice and firm. I'm just going to take half of that and I'm trying to get all the creases out of it before I start shaping it. So the first shape I want to do to try and get is a egg shape. So this will form the body of the teddy bear. So once I'm happy with that shape, I'm just going to place it onto my iced board. And then I'm immediately going to place a cocktail stick into the top. So I'm using a little bit of water just so that it will stick. I just want to make sure there's not too much sticking out, because the last thing I want is for this to pierce through the top of the head. So I'm going to add some stitching up the front of this teddy. So this is optional, you don't have to do this. I think it looks quite cute. And then for the legs, I'm going to roll a ball and then roll that into a sausage. So first of all, I need to make sure it's not too thick and not too thin. That looks about right. And I'm just going to measure it around the front of the body and mark where it comes round to the other side. So it's exactly half the circumference right there. So I'm just going to round that end off so it looks the same as the other end. And then just finding the centre, I'm just going to cut it at an angle. And this will make the two legs. At this point, I can just form the front of the leg by just holding my finger over and just pushing the front up a little. If it flattens it, then just roll over again a little bit more. But what I'm looking for is a nice little paw shape. Same for this one. I'm just going to push it up, model it out, and roll it out a little bit more again. So with the Dresden tool, I'm just adding 2 little marks on each one to give a little bit more detail. So now I want to attach these to the body, so using a little water, just going to place those on, push them up, and then without too much prodding, just going to press them in place. You can see they sit towards the front of the body and they don't start at the back, which is a common mistake. So taking a little bit more paste, I'm going to make the arms. So this time I'm just going to measure down and make sure the arms reach the board. Just checking the size of that. I'll make this one the same length. And I'm going to cut a slight angle off the top of each one. And I'm not really going to do any more shaping other than that. Just making sure it's long enough, so I'm going to roll it slightly more. Try not to lose the shape. Adding a little water to the top. I'm going to place them straight at the top. Pushing them on a little bit, but not so much that you end up misshaping them. So, and now for the head. A nice size head. Making sure it's not too large, not too small. That's a little bit large, so I'm going to take a little bit off there. If the stick doesn't look like it'll support it, you can just pull it up a little bit. So I'm just trying to get a nice round shape, which can be quite difficult. I'm just going to check the size of that now. That's far better. When the head's placed on, it's got to make sure it's not sitting back too much, because then it'll continue to go backwards as you model with it. So just to continue the stitch detail, I'm just going to run the stitching tool up and over. And I'm going to change to a slightly darker brown now, just to give a little contrast. And I'm going to model the muzzle. So I'm just going to roll it into an oval shape first and press down slightly so that the back is flat but the front is still nice and rounded. I'm just going to check the size of that. That's about right. So just using a little bit of water, just enough to make it tacky, because if it's too wet it's going to slide off. I'm going to fasten that just there in place. So for the eye socket, I'm going to place the small ball tool in just above that muzzle. Then to finish off the nose, just going to put a little line down. And then using the scallop tool, I'll put a little mouth. For his ears, just taking a couple of, well, just one ball of paste should be enough. Just going to press that down. I'm going to put a slightly darker piece in the centre and press that down and cut it in half, and that will make the two ears. A little bit of water up on the top of the head, and as I lift up an ear, I'm just going to scoop it slightly and pinch it slightly, and that will just sit there. And that's all you need to do for the ears. Now the little nose I'm going to make from a little black sugar paste, so just taking a tiny amount. Then I'm just going to shape that into a triangle type shape, so a slightly rounded triangle. Just going to place that at the top. So just a small amount of water, otherwise you'll end up getting black runs. So for the eyes, I'm going to use the brush just very, very slightly. And then 2 small balls. So that's a little bit too big there. Just place that in. Make sure they're in line and they're the same size. So I'm just going to put some pads on the bottom of the feet as well. So 2 small balls of paste again. I'm using a little water. And then just as I pick it up, I press it onto my finger and then just press it into the bottom of the leg. Now what I'm going to do now is just give him a couple little patches and make him a nice little scruffy head. So these patches, I'm just going to cut them by hand. Doesn't matter if they're not perfect squares. I'll put one on his body. Then a little one on his head. Just a smaller one for the head. And one on the arm. And to finish those off, I'm just going to add a couple of stitches. So I'm just pressing a couple of times with the dressing tool each side. And there you go, a nice little scruffy head. Thank you for watching my tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please be sure to visit my website or my YouTube channel where you will find many more.